Well, thank you, Sergeant McKenna. So let's hear it for Sergeant McKenna and the 1st Marine Division Band Brass Quintet. Did I get that right, Marines? Sergeant McKenna, thanks for driving up this morning. Appreciate it very much. And so behind me, we're gonna be converting the stage over for our next event. So pay no attention to what goes on behind the speaker. So we've got a couple of changes. Yeah, Mark, you can. It's okay to. Yeah, I know, because we're in a warehouse. This is very informal, and I'm up here, so it's super informal. So thank you, Marines. I didn't tell them that. We didn't have that planned out. I should have made an announcement. The other part. So I told you about the heads being on the north side here. We're not going to do that. So if you look behind you, because you're probably not looking at me, but if you look behind you, you'll see the big American flag. Beyond the American flag, there's another banner that looks something similar to what you see here on stage. Under that banner is a big bay door. Go through that bay door, and there's 4 unisex heads out there. So those will be moved, and they'll be put over out of doors. But you can go through that bay door, no problem. So the other thing I want to talk about before we get started here with the next welcoming from Port Hueneme is we've got an app. So this is the Coastal Trident ANTX FATHOMWERX Summit. A part of this is we had our there's a whole. I'll be talking about this the whole day. So there are many warfare centers here. So the RDA is made up of many warfare centers. So under Secretary Stephanie, I think he's acting RDA right now. There are, I think, 16, I want to say 16 warfare centers, and many are represented here today. Of course, Port Hueneme's here. You have the Warfare Center from NAVFAC, EXWC is here. I'm from NIWC Atlantic, which is in Charleston, which falls under NAV War. We've got NAVC folks here today from Newark Keyport. Also, we have Philly, the detachment that's out of Philly for NAVC is here. A lot of Warfare Center people here today representing. So and we'll go cover why that's important and why that's important with our defense industry base that we have here today further on in the program. So as we go through the day, I want you to not only have well, let's go back to the point of what I was saying. This happens when I'm unscripted. Is NIWC Atlantic has a STEM team, a science, technology, engineering, mathematics team that works under funding from ONR, Office of Naval Research. Under that STEM team, they also have a new professional team that creates some apps for the STEM team. So I said, wow. I went to this event out in Hawaii called Post. And I said, wow, Post is pretty cool. They have an app. And I like apps. Like I just uploaded, I've got iOS 16, so I'm all cool now. I did it last night. I'm all with the cool kids thinking I'm young again, but I'm really not. But I said, we should have an app for our ANTXs. And I'll talk more about ANTXs as we go through, because right now at NAVFAC, we've got an ANTX going on. Back to the point, Steve. The app team created, if you go into Google Play or into the App Store and you say FATHOMWERX Summit app, it'll pop up on that app. And I know somebody's out there, well, that's not sexy, but this is all government engineers doing this, right? I think it's super sexy because it's the first one. Alan was the first one to take this chance to do this. And I'll talk about Alan in a minute because I love that guy too. So the app is there. It's got the list, the whole agenda. You can see the agenda. There's a question and answer set or a question section. I don't know if it's a question and answer section. I can't remember, but you can ask questions of panelists. Not all, but you have to click on the calendar portion. And if you can't figure it out, come see me because I was working with it this morning. It does work with iOS 16. I tested it out this morning with my iPhone. I don't know about Android. Sorry, I'm not an Android person. But you can ask questions. You'll see information about what's coming up next in the events. So it's super neat, and we're super lucky to have that team that's done that for us. Also want to cover the snack table. So as I understand it, I'm a government employee, industry-based. So government employees, we didn't have to, well, I didn't have to pay because I'm doing this MC gig, right? So, but the government employees that are here did not have to pay for attendance here. Defense industry base did. Pleased with that under, I think Bryan will be talking about the sponsors and all that a little bit later. And then I think Alan will cover how we're putting this together. But let's go back to the snack table again. It's so snacks, coffee, complimentary, anybody. Government people, listen up, govies. You do not get a free lunch here. No free lunches, no free chicken. So there's a QR code, I believe, up there, and Kelly, who runs the snack table, and her partner can maybe help you out where the QR code is, and you have to order. I'm looking also for my cues for my partner Ling back there to make sure I'm saying the right stuff, and she's nodding her head. Yet, govies, you have to pay for chow. Don't take the chow. This is defense industry base had to pay funds to be here. Chow was included. Please do not take the chow. Now I packed my lunch because I'm very particular in my old age of where I want to eat, so I went to the grocery store. All right, so we've got that covered. I'm gonna also collaboration. There's a lot of folks here again from the warfare centers. You hear me talk about that throughout the 2 days. Please stop, ask questions. There's going to be some great panels. I don't know if we're opening questions for all the panels, but ask questions. All right, so I'm going to get off stage, and I'm going to call my friend, Alan Jaeger, up to the stage, and I want to turn it over to Alan. Is that right? Is that what I'm doing? Because Mark's moved. Look, I got the set list here. It says Mark will move chairs. Hand over to Alan. So Alan Jaeger, he's the director of the Ventura Tech Bridge. And I look, Alan, I've been 20 years as a government employee. Alan and I met at NAVFAC. I helped initiate and start NAVFAC, which you'll learn about later on today too. But Alan is a T2 ORTA. He's taught me so much. And the reason I'm here and the other warfare centers, I think, have glommed onto this is because of what we've done with Naval. And I think we're missing one more. Where's Bryan? Isn't he supposed to be up here? Yeah. Bryan, you're supposed to be up here. So we'll wait for Bryan, and then I'll pitch it to you. So we met, and I've learned so much. So the collaboration collision space that NAVFAC has created has allowed me, as a warfare center government employee, to learn from my peers that I may never have had a chance to meet, because I don't think I would have ever come here to Port Hueneme. Bryan's here. Thank you, Bryan. So I will turn it over to Alan. Alan, I'm going to give you this mic number 1.
Okay. Thank you. All right, and we found Bryan. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Steve, Ling, the whole team. I'm with the Naval Surface Warfare Center, Port Hueneme Division, and also for the Ventura Tech Bridge here at the FATHOMWERX lab. So real quick, who has been to FATHOMWERX before? All right, we got some repeats. Who's been to a prior event here last year? Oh, cool. Excellent. So for those of you who have never been here, welcome. We're very fortunate to be here with these fine leaders from our partners that have helped us establish the FATHOMWERX lab, which is home to the Ventura Tech Bridge as part of NAVFAC. So what is a tech bridge? This is really kind of a deliberate space, a deliberate collision space where we can have meaningful engagements and programs such as what we're doing today. The event that we have is really kind of cool and special because we're aligning a number of different things to try and really have these meaningful collisions that we talk about. So you'll see companies who have been experimenting with technologies, people who have been working out of FATHOMWERX. RepTex was a big program that we did 2 weeks ago. So we have government, industry, academia all together in order to identify, solve, and hopefully accelerate capabilities, not only to the fleet and the warfighter, which is our perspective from the Navy side, but also as we grow and mature the ecosystems and the defense industrial base that supports our men and women in uniform. So with that, I have the honor of sort of introducing the fine folks here. I'm going to start with my commanding officer, Captain Andy Hoffman. Round of applause. Yeah. He is my boss, so standing ovations or Captain Hoffman has provided the leadership from the Navy side on the Surface Warfare Center and continuously asks me and pushes us to do the hard questions on, right, how does this impact our mission? How does this help the men and the women in uniform, the fleet and the warfighter? So I appreciate that, sir. And with that, I will turn this over to you.
Thanks, Alan. Ooh, sorry. Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm going to try to go hands-free without making too much noise. I apologize. I apologize. Look at that. Hey, thanks for joining us this morning. Thanks for the intro, Alan. You did the proper genuflection. Excellent. And hey, what a great morning to start with the Marine Band, right? That was just wonderful. So thanks to those gentlemen this morning. And thanks to you for joining us here today. Really, without you, this isn't possible. This is all about trying to get capability to the warfighter and your contributions to that. So thanks for being here. So, of course, I have the best job here. I'm the CEO of the Port Hueneme Division. And for those of you who don't know what we do, we take care of the surface navies, surface fleets, combat and weapon systems. And so we're driven by our mission. If you talk to any of our folks, and you probably are talking to them today, they care deeply about making sure that the sailors out there have what they need to either defend the country or defend their shipmates on their ship. So, and that's why we're here. So I believe in the T2 journey that we're on here. And I think, for us, we do such a wonderful job and with your help of finding technology that can be transitioned very quickly and be applied to the fleet. Because really for them, it's all about creating readiness. And what that means is either increasing reliability, accelerating time to repair, or, in the case, if you haven't noticed, what was a blowout is probably a close game with China these days. So responding to battle damage and getting our fleet back into the fight and reconstituting very quickly. So we support our warfighters here at Port Hueneme, but we can't do it alone. It's essential to partner with great minds and innovators that exist in academia, industry, and other government organizations, hint you. And that's where FATHOMWERX comes in. We work to establish this FATHOMWERX and lab consortium with partners of the Port of Hueneme, the EDC, and Matter Labs as a vehicle to execute our command's core mission to deliver innovative and applicable capabilities fleet with urgency. And I failed to bring up my friend back here from NAVFAC EXWC, who has also joined us here on this journey, and it's been a great partnership so far. Today and tomorrow, we're filled with opportunities to shoot for that goal, to facilitate interactions between technologists and operators that communicate need and potential solutions in the form of innovative capabilities. Massive thanks to our team, because this doesn't happen in a vacuum. Alan, entire team across the Warfare Center, NAVFAC, and our team, as well as the EDC and the Port of Hueneme for joining in this partnership. And it's not only, it's a milestone, right? So it's not just our 16th Coastal Trident. It's the first time we've actually merged the NAVALX Agility Summit and Coastal Trident. So this is becoming a bigger and bigger event each year and delivering results to the fleet. Again, thanks to our FATHOMWERX partner, Bryan, you guys are great. It's fantastic being a partner with you, and it's a real treat. You guys drive ability into the fleet and drive capability out there, whether you see it or not. So thank you for that. And we really value your partnership. So, and each one of you, and thank you, Kristina, for being here as well, representing the CEO. And, so what we're doing is ensuring the world's best Navy continues its assured and enduring technical advantage. Thanks again for your partnership with us in this endeavor. Thank you for your support. And Alan, back to you. Thanks very much.
All right, thank you, sir. And so as we talk and we understand sort of the focus on Navy critical technologies, of course, we also know, and coming out of Assistant Secretary of the Navy for Research and Acquisition, ASN RDA, having a thriving ecosystem and a strong industrial base is going to be critical as we go forward. And so the partnerships that we have here at FATHOMWERX and the larger partnerships with the NAVALX and the other tech bridges could not be possible without partners on the economic development side that can engage with the small businesses. So I'd like to introduce my friend and good partner, Bruce Stenslie.
Good morning, all. It's fantastic to see all you guys here. Get in and get all of this opportunity to see the exhibitors. Bruce Stenslie, President and CEO, Economic Development Collaborative. We're a public-private partnership dedicated to stewarding the region's economy for broadly shared opportunity, contributing to environmental balance, and of course, creating an environment for business success, creating quality jobs. Our team is over there, Kelly Noble and a handful of others. You can say hi to them behind the food. There she is. And I'll mention a couple others in a moment. So our role in this partnership is as the private nonprofit. As an economic development group, we want to make sure that we are doing everything that we can to facilitate effective, efficient communication, collision, interaction between public and private sector. That is private businesses who have technologies that can be responsive to the needs and opportunities expressed by the Navy and the port and maritime environments. And we've got opportunity to move that technology back and forth, creating jobs, economic opportunity, contributing to the nation's safety and to the nation's economic growth and prosperity. So as an economic development group, we have sort of a strategy or a three-pronged strategy. Sorry, I'm going to be a bit pedantic on this. And we like to think that we can do three things. And the reason I'm going to mention them is because in this FATHOMWERX partnership, that is the partnership with the various Navy commands, NAVFAC, NAVC, with the port and with Matter Labs, this opportunity here, this collection of resources, all of you, advances each of these three priorities. Those are, we want to grow and retain the existing business base. And we do that, of course, by creating opportunity for existing businesses to network and take advantage of the resources, the assets, the investments in prototyping and research and development and contributing to this cause. And it goes back and forth. We want to attract new business to Ventura County, which is very difficult to do. You don't come here because you have cheap land, cheap labor, and tax incentives. You come here for the assets. You come here for the strengths. And we know that businesses are moving and coming to Ventura County. They come here because they want opportunity to look at the prototyping lab, at the events that network these assets. So this is our number one way of marketing Ventura County as a cool place, as an effective place to do business. And finally, the most important thing we do in economic development is we generate opportunities for entrepreneurship, that we create innovation, we connect resources and assets, we create new businesses out of ideas. And this is quintessentially what we do there in a partnership of public-private sector. Couldn't be more thrilled than we have the folks sitting here standing behind us, the ideas that are generated by the Port of Hueneme, by the Navy commands, and facilitated by Bryan and his folks at Matter Labs. So one last thing before I sit down, all of us are fundamentally aware one way or another that we are coming out of an environment of impacts of all kinds, whether it's been fires that are still going on, whether it's COVID that's still going on. and that we have had wildly disproportionate impacts from things like COVID and these disasters, meaning certain aspects of business, certain occupations, certain opportunities that require the collision of human interaction. And we know those things have been most detrimental to the people who have the least resources to respond. So fundamentally, in response to that, we are a partner with the Governor's Office of Small Business Advocate to be an inclusive innovation hub, a partner of about a dozen of these around the state, where we're looking to do all of this work specifically to improve opportunities to create diversity, equity, and inclusion for businesses, for students, for entrepreneurs that otherwise haven't had the opportunity to access capital, access intellectual capital. So this is really about ground up, and it's about attracting connections at the top end. We're thrilled to be a partner. I'll kick it back to Alan. We'll have a chance to talk a little bit more about the EDC later this afternoon. Thank you.
You guys are going to get sick of me here pretty quickly. Thank you, Bruce. One of the fun things about doing this is, it's really easy to put logos. It's not easy. It's fun to put logos and to talk about working together. We all speak a different language, and I learned that as working with the port and working with Bryan. Coming out of having a partner like Matter Labs, really kind of that Silicon Valley mindset, engaging in companies and start small businesses. But that's not how we traditionally think and operate. And so even the language that we use, the terms that we use, you have this giant government bureaucratic system, and then you have these really fast, cool people like Bryan and Eric as part of partners. So it's been really great, and I'd like to introduce Bryan from Matter Labs. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. So good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Bryan Hueneme. I'm the CEO of Matter Labs. As Alan said, I'm so proud to be up here with our partners, colleagues, and friends, and also as a founding member and also the industry lead for FATHOMWERX and ANTX Coastal Trident. FATHOMWERX is the epitome of what happens when you get leaders, innovators, and those who Steve Jobs so eloquently coined the crazy ones, all together in one space, because we're not just a physical space, right? We're a community. And this community has many, many success stories, and Matter Labs is actually one of them. We're not just a founding partner, but we're also an active member. So over the last few years, we've won multiple SBIR awards. Our latest one right now is with a partnership with Jetpack Aviation, who has their speeder on display here. Stop by and check it out. We have licensed, and we are currently transitioning technology straight from the Navy. We participated in ANTX and Coastal Trident for a few years. We've also won several grants over the last few years as well. And we couldn't have done that without the community, the support, and leadership that we have here at FATHOMWERX. So I encourage all of you out there to come get involved if you haven't already. If you have a solution, come show us. If you have a need, come tell us. If you don't even know where to start, just come talk to us and get started, because whatever your case is, the FATHOMWERX, we're here for you guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Bryan. And so, right, that idea of sourcing and scanning and curating ideas and understanding how to pull in these capabilities and the technologies, the dual use technologies, the ones that we can spin out through licensing agreements, makes everybody stronger, right? Us on the Navy side, as well as hopefully on the industry side. So finally, my 16 years we've been doing this with the port, right? We're at the port. How cool is that? Where often do you get to look out and see like an actual functioning port, which I think is the busiest it's been ever. So, to be here, and if you've worked at FATHOMWERX, hey, there's always something going on this side, right? They're always moving something's coming and going, all sorts of cool stuff. So my longtime friend, Kristina, talk about the port. Thank you.
So good morning, everybody. I'll keep it short. I just want to welcome you to the Port of Hueneme, the commercial hub for global trade and logistics here in Ventura County. I know some of you have already been here to FATHOMWERX and actually came to ANTX last year. Do you remember what the Port of Hueneme moves? Bananas, cars, great. So we actually move over 5 billion bananas a year. That's B with a with a B for billion. That's enough bananas to serve every man, woman, and child at least 10 bananas in the nation. And if you were to line them up tip to tip, it would go around the globe about 13 times. So if you had a banana this morning, we serve the western 13 states in Canada. So if you had a Chiquita banana or a Del Monte banana, it came through the port of Hueneme. We also move automobiles. Close to 350,000 automobiles come through the port, import and export, and other goods and services. We're actually a niche port, so we've been able to be a reliever valve. Everybody knows more about supply chain than they ever have before after the pandemic. And understanding, I think that terminology is in everybody's brain now. And I think it's important to understand what we do and the importance that we have in our community. All of that movement of cargo generates over 20,000 jobs here in Ventura County. Trade in Ventura County actually accounts for 4% of Ventura County's GDP and has been one of the only areas that we've consistently seen growing and not stagnant here in the economic for GDP in Ventura County. Really important to be here. But the most important thing about being here today with all of you, and one of the most exciting things I feel when we kind of walk around and have these events, is the energy. Anybody feel it? Otherwise, we need another cup of coffee and go back. But it really is just kind of moving around and talking to people. And from our side as the COO of the port is to be able to communicate with all of you and see some of these technologies that we wouldn't have the opportunity to integrate with otherwise. What can we see that would move through and be able to be useful in the commercial side, but not just locally here at the Port of Hueneme, but completely in the maritime domain? So if it's not going to be used, or maybe it is being used on the military side, we can also have that transition onto the commercial side. Really exciting opportunities. We are so pleased and excited to be able to use this footprint, not only this area that you're seeing as the lab, but also the port in itself. So access to vessels, the port, the berths, and be able to utilize that infrastructure for technology growth and innovation. So again, have a wonderful day and welcome to the Port of Hueneme. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. And last but definitely not least, right, we're all one Navy, but of course we're different warfare centers, we're different commands with different focuses. So super pleased to have representation formally now as from the Naval Expeditionary Engineering NAVFAC EXWC.
Thanks, Alan.
Excellent.
Alan, thank you.
Hey, appreciate it. Sorry.
Hey, everyone. I'm Captain Paul Chain. I'm the Executive Officer for Naval Facilities Engineering Expeditionary Warfare Center. So we are the youngest of the Warfare Center here in Hueneme. It was a combination between the ESC and also NFELC in the past. But I'm honored to be here today to feel the energy and all the amazing collaboration and all the exhibits. Thank you so much for all the amazing work. And thank you, Port of Hueneme, for hosting this event. And I think this is going to be amazing. I have a speech set up, but majority of it has already been spoken already. So I'm going to wing it a little bit now. I recently PCS'd here from Far East and also from Marianas. So I have seen the Indo-PACOM AOR. I will tell you, what you do here is critical. Like my counterpart have talked about, Skipper Hoffman, the great power competition or the near peer competition, whichever way you want to look at it, it is real. They are faster, they're quicker, they're much, if you just look at the news today, they can build a COVID hospital in 10 days, where it took us a while just to dispense COVID vaccines. So I would tell you, it is a monumental task for us to keep pace and also expand to make sure that we are ready for the next fight. So from EXWC, I would say that our model is still anticipate, innovate, and accelerate. And in order for us to do that, we need all of your support and all of your collaboration and all the geniuses out there to help us build a better Navy, improve the lethality, and project the power ashore from here. So thank you so much. And again, thank you for all my partners. I truly appreciate the support and the energy today. Hurrah.
Thank you, sir, and sorry for not getting that right. But it is a mouthful, right? I mean, to be fair. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Real quick, so I want to call out a few folks because we talk about NAVFAC, we talk about TechBridge, right? We're here in Ventura, but we have somewhere out there, we have folks from Crane, Indiana, and we have Rick Tarr. Where's Rick at? Rick in the back. Mike Lavery. And we have Mark Thompson, of course, here locally. I don't know if Candy from NAVAIR is around. And then Patrick, who is from NAVFAC, will be talking later. So again, this is a broader, larger network. Of course, here in this ecosystem, in this region, this is what we're focusing on. But please introduce yourself to Rick, to Mike, to Ann. There's a lot of similarities in what we do in these types of programs. And the whole point of the TechBridge network is really to expand and collaborate and share the information. So with that, thank you very much. And back to Steve.
Back to me. How lucky for everyone here. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I heard it from the chief operating officer. She said, Kristin said, we better get more motivated. Feel the energy. So I better step it up a little bit. So I'll start to relax because I'm always nervous on these things because I don't want to say the wrong thing ever. But let's see if do we have him queued? We do. We have one queued. Where's Patrick? Is Patrick? Brendan's there. Oh, there's Patrick. I beg your pardon. So we're going to bring up the stage. So what is ANTX? We're going to bring up Mr. ANTX of the West Coast. That's Brendan. And then we're going to bring up NAVFAC. I think I'm going to call you the deputy. Can I call you the deputy, Patrick? It doesn't matter because I was there as op, so I'll call you anything. But you're with NAVFAC. Now, NAVFAC is going to talk about that, where that falls. I could talk forever because I love the thing. But again, let's this is your cue, guys, to walk up. Come on, walk up. Patrick. Come on up, Patrick. Patrick and Brendan. Here they are, and they're going to sit and chat with you for about 15 minutes about what Coastal Trident is and NAVFAC. I'm going to give you this mic over here because this is my mic, Patrick.
That one is. Never mind. All right, good morning. My name is... Sorry about this. So my name is Patrick Cantwell on behalf of the Honorable Mr. J. Stephanie, the Assistant Secretary of the Navy for Research, Development, and Acquisition, and as well the Chief of Naval Research, Rear Admiral Selby. It's an honor to be here, and it truly is. And it excites them. They're very, very, very interested in small businesses and in innovation for all of the reason that the senior leaders that were just up here are talking to you about. And they're interested in your ideas and getting your ideas into the hands of sailors and Marines. And it's our job at NAVFAC, and I'll talk more to how we do that in a little bit this afternoon. But we're trying to help. And really our tactical execution element is the tech bridges. And so it's Alan and this organization. It's all the people Alan just mentioned from our other tech bridges. And there are many more across the country. And we're very excited. We're trying to help empower them and get to you and to many of your peers across this country because they're great ideas and we want to see that used. We talk a lot at our level about the innovation pipeline and you'll see it in a little bit this afternoon. But the point is there's a lot of opportunities, right? So small business innovative research is one, tech transfer, the ANTX effort, and a whole host of other that we're trying to build and utilize for the varying elements that all feed in to help deliver the best things for sailors and Marines. So I'm excited, definitely here and interested if you have ideas on how we can do it better. I think we can always do it better. Senior leaders are interested in what those ideas are. We're trying to make it simpler, trying to give you better access so that you can do what the great work that you are doing. And we're excited to see, the results of this effort and this exercise that's been done. So with that, I'll turn it over.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Patrick. Welcome. Here we are again. It's my 11th year leading the planning and execution of the Coastal Trident program. It's our 6th year as an ANTX program. ANTX stands for the Advanced Naval Technology Exercise. You see the innovation pipeline that Patrick was talking about earlier, where NAVALX sources, curates, scans, incubates, prototypes, validates, fields, and sustains capabilities. ANTX, or the Advanced Naval Technology Exercise, really is focused on that scanning through validation phase. We are designed to take technologies at an early readiness level as soon as they're ready to go out into the field and be tested. And so we can get eyes on from the Navy perspective, from the perspective of our interagency partners that might not be Navy, other DoD branches, other non-DoD federal organizations, state and local government organizations, who all have a role in the port and maritime security domain. So you can imagine traditional, formal, cumbersome Navy acquisition and procurement timelines, processes. They're not designed to get early eyes on technology, and they have a very high barrier to entry. So ANTX is intended to lower that barrier to entry, to reduce the amount of resources that are applied to understand leading edge technologies and capabilities that are under development by the private sector, by academic labs, by government organizations, and to really engage between the users and the technology providers so that we can understand what the gaps are and what the capabilities are that are under development or in early stages of development to meet those needs. So Coastal Trident is one of those programs. I believe that we have a slide in a couple slides that talk to kind of the entire ecosystem of ANTXs in general. The program was started in 2015. Keep going, please. Next slide. There we go. You can't read that, but I'll talk to it. So ANTX was started in 2015 at Newark Newport, again, as one of these high-paced, accelerated knowledge transfer and engagement opportunities. You can see along the bottom, Coastal Trident is the longest sustained ANTX program, but a number of different organizations have developed and executed ANTXs to meet the needs and address the core capabilities of their organization. So we are one of many. The ANTX ecosystem kind of ebbs and flows, but we have no plans of going anywhere. So we continue to be filling a critical need, again, low barrier to entry, technology assessment. We're not doing detailed technical evaluations. We're saving those for the fleet exercises and the more detailed, again, higher resources, test and evaluation programs. But we are an opportunity for, again, early assessment. And our goal here is to transition technology. All of your goals, did we lose power in the lights? We'll address that with the breakers. Hopefully those will come back on. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Transition technology. Our goal here is to take the technology, assess it early with minimal resources, and then do something with it. All of you are here because you have an interest in getting technology in the hands of the user, whether you're developing it, whether you're going to use it, whether you're a warfare center that is an advocate for the user. You have an interest in getting those technologies and those capabilities to the users as quickly as possible and with the minimum amount of burden. So that's what we're here for. We have several different transition pathways that you can see on the slide. If you can read it, we can talk about it later. But again, our goal is really to get those technologies, have an early look at them, get them somewhere, put them in the hands of somebody who can help it transition. And that's what we're all about. So again, Coastal Trident, one of many ANTX programs. We're focused on general port and maritime security. So that spreads a large variety of different capabilities, where a lot of the ANTXs are very kind of pinpoint focused on capability areas. We really take a broader look across a larger geographic area and a longer period of time. So a little bit less, again, lowering the barrier to entry, maximizing the eyes-on capabilities. So I would encourage you to take a look around, to engage with each other, to develop innovative ideas and collaborative projects for next year's ANTX program. Again, we're going to be conducting ANTX as far as we know for the time being. The 2023 program will kick off in November with a request for information and a request for proposals. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah, this is a good opportunity to start developing ideas for collaborative projects for next year's program, to take a good look at what was done this year, some of the partners that participated in the 2022 program, and to really engage with, again, those advocates for the users that are here from the warfare centers and from the program offices. Look forward to meeting with each of you throughout the 2 days that we're here, and appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Set the bot. I think I have to go on. So you're going to listen to me drone for a little bit. So I want you to know the people that are running this show, and I'm going to call it a show, like this part of the show, the speakers, those speakers, this microphone. So the person running the soundboard is a mechanical engineer who works on submarines, and she sets them afloat. Like, she can sign off on everything but, I think, the nuclear reactor. So, but this is just stuff we enjoy doing, and we want to support Alan and the RDA. We want to support our defense industry base. We want to make sure you know that we're here. So I control back at my home command, I have about $75 million that comes in to my IPT. Not to brag or flex. People say I flex all the time when I say that. But the purpose of me saying that is the Department of Navy is not closed for business. I watch Bloomberg every day. I mean, Snapchat laid off 20% of their workforce. They're having problems with advertising. So, like, there's all this doom and gloom. And then I heard in November we're going up another 75 basis points. I can tell you who's still open for business, and that's the Department of the Navy. Still open for business. I know you probably heard the bad news. In 2023, the SBIR program is not going to be funded. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know those things because I'm not a politician. I'm just a proletariat government worker who does what he's told to do, and that's look
Yes, I can speak without slides. Can you hear me? Mic check. I'm talking, but I can't hear any feedback. Don't know if that's purposeful. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hello? Okay, great. Would you like me to start? I'm getting a text from Ling. Okay, let me know when. Oh, thank you. Just want to let everybody know, I was hoping to be there in person, just wasn't in the cards. I'm in my fifth and final day of isolation, feeling good, on the mend, and if all goes well, maybe I'll be able to pop in and say hi tomorrow. But anyways, the other thing too, just want to let you know, it's interesting. I got a little bit of a sound deprivation. I think you can hear me, but I don't hear anything back. So I'm going to continue until apprehended. Hope everybody is having a great day and really appreciate the opportunity and the honor to be able to be your keynote speaker today. Before I get started, I definitely want to thank the incredible team that made this happen. First, I'd like to thank Naval Surface Warfare Center, Port Hueneme Division. Also would like to thank Naval Air Warfare Center, Weapons Division. Also would like to thank Naval Facilities Engineering and Expeditionary Warfare Center, the Port of Hueneme, Matter Labs, Economic Development Collaborative, and the gracious sponsors and members of industry here today. Really couldn't make this happen without them. So please give a round of applause. I'd also like to make special thanks to some individuals. First, Brendan Applegate from NSWC PhD, Principal Investigator of the ANTX Coastal Trident program for the past 16 years. Also like to thank Ling Tong, who made this virtual participation very possible, but also involved in advertising to audiovisual to everything behind the scenes. She was instrumental in pulling a couple of these venues together, from the ANTX Coastal Trident Open House and the NAVAL-X Agility Summit to create this first FATHOMWERX Summit. And then also Nick Willis from NSWC PhD, FATHOMWERX Lab Manager. And from the Port of Hueneme, Kristin Decas, CEO, Port Operations and Maintenance Staff, Kristin Birdsey, Chief Operations Officer, Mike Morrison, Operations Manager, and the entire Port's maintenance staff. Again, round of applause for all of them. I don't know if you have slides or not, but I'm going to just talk quickly about what I want to talk about today. Really, I wanted to give you the why in the lens of both the 2022 National Defense Strategy as well as the CNO's navigation plan. I also want to talk about technology transfer. Heard some of that earlier today. Really important. Tech transfer is an incredible process and mechanism with a bunch of authorities that creates an incredible innovation space between DoD, warfare centers and labs, FFRDCs, academia, industry. And industry is key, both small, large, and non-traditional partners. And then I'll give a few examples and then I'll wrap up and link why events like this are so important for us. So I'm going to move on to the third slide. Don't know if you have it or not, but I'll talk to it. Why the National Defense Strategy and the perspective of senior leaders. I was fortunate enough to go to the Navy Flag Officers SES conference in March and got to hear directly from one of the primary authors of the National Defense Strategy, Dr. Marty Carlin. We saw the previous one from a few years ago talking about deterrence and calling out by name our strategic competitors, our adversaries, and even listing some of the tactics and things that the U.S. needs to be prepared to do to maintain national security. One of the things that complicated the release of it was Russia's invasion into the Ukraine. We'd been so focused on looking all the way west in Indo-PACOM area and looking at the People's Republic of China that they had to address just a couple things before rolling out the National Defense Strategy. And really what the priorities are, it's all about defending the homeland and pace to the growing multi-domain threat posed by the People's Republic of China. Multi-domain. You heard Skipper Hoffman talk about peer and near peer strategic competitors. We have it. So what we need to be prepared for and push the envelope is going to take all of us here today, utilizing these innovation ecosystems. We're talking a multi-domain from space, air, surface, land, subsurface to cyber. It's going to be incredibly challenging, and we need to continue working forward and being innovative and closing the gaps. Also, key principles is deterring strategic attacks against the United States, our allies, and our partners. And we're seeing that. You know, we had some very senior leaders go visit Taiwan, and China's response to that, and not only doing a lot in that area, but actually, firing missiles towards Taiwan. It's a changing environment. So our goal is to deter aggression while being prepared to prevail in conflict when necessary. And then really key is building a joint resilience force and defense ecosystem. That's going to be really important. It's not just DoD and the Coast Guard, but it's also our allies and, reaching across the world. The department will advance our goals through these primary ways, which are integrated deterrence, campaigning, and actions that build enduring advantage. And I'll talk more about that as I go along, how we build an enduring advantage. So I don't know if you have slides, but I'm going to move on to the next one and talk about why the CNO's navigation plan and the implementation framework. So got to listen to some incredible leaders from SecNav to the CNO to the VCNO to the Commandant. I can tell you, sitting in NFOCs, it was very inspirational and motivational. But a couple key things I want to share with you from that conference from our senior leaders, which I think is really, really important. The whole context of NFOCs was all about get real, get better. The DoD has the largest budget that we've had in a long time, and it's probably not going to grow much more. And we have incredible technology gaps that we need to close to maintain and exceed our peer competitors. So we got to look at what we have, and we got to prioritize. So get real requires all of us to ruthlessly self-assess, be honest, be humble, and transparent about our capabilities and limitations. Challenge our beliefs using data, facts, diverse input from many, diverse points of view. You're going to hear a lot about diversity and inclusion. When we really apply the get real and do self-assessment, we really want different points of view, and we want it to be honest. So we got to challenge these beliefs using data, facts, and diverse input. You'll hear the term embrace the red. That's where we get really uncomfortable, but that's where we can make a difference. And in that red, that's where we acknowledge our shortcomings. And the way to get to it is being curious, taking pride in finding and fixing problems. And so some of these ecosystems that we've been talking about, really important when we start closing the gaps. That's the get real. The get better requires us to deliberately self-correct. Don't wait for someone to tell us how to improve and get better, but actively seek out where we need to get better and find and fix these problems before they become large systematic issues. Fix the root causes, not the symptoms. Apply critical problem-solving tools and best practices to shift from more activity to better outcomes. Set clear accountability, work collaboratively, and quickly identify and remove barriers to progress. And if you get stuck, the expectations, you elevate this quickly. Want to share a few parting comments from each of the senior leaders. SecNav talked about the 4 C's, which is China, climate, culture, and COVID. But the big key that he pulled it all together, it gets back to the inclusion and diversity, is we must leverage our industry partners to the greatest extent possible for not only innovation, but when we have to go into conflict, we're going to need the entire industrial base to support us, just like we did in previous large conflicts. CNO, get real, get better. It's a strategic imperative. And what was nice is he really set the focus and the priorities, which is focuses on readiness, modernization, and capacity in that order. And then to VCNO, build a little, test a little, learn a lot, and do it again. That's how we're going to continue to improve. And the Commandant, stretch ourselves intellectually always. And then N1, diversity is presence of differences, not limited to race, gender, and ethnicity, but includes thought, background, and experience. We absolutely need that to be innovative and to outpace our adversaries. If you were to roll up get real, get better, real simplistically in layman terms, it's all about not being content with the status quo. So now I want to talk a little bit, I don't know if the slides are up, but talk about the navigation implementation framework. And there's 18 objectives. If you have a chance to look at it, I highly recommend that you go out and take a look at it. It was just recently released the end of last month, about 3 weeks ago. And it really lays out 18 objectives. And the whole idea here is to look at how we can keep improving the current Navy, the future Navy, and the Navy after. And there's 4 primary areas. They are readiness, capabilities, capacity, and sailors. And what's nice, as you read this strategy, you'll see even out of those 18 objectives, there's a 4x4, and they prioritize them. So the first 4 is prioritizing capability objectives to ensure alignment, integration, acceleration. The first one is long-range fires, how we shoot. Second one is counter C5I SRT, how we maneuver. The third one is terminal defense, how we defend. That's defending the homeland all the way out to the tactical edge and everywhere in between. And the fourth one is contested logistics, how we resupply. The commandant in his speech at NSWC talked about contested logistics. He said contested logistics will be the pacing element. So it's not just about showing up, but it's how we sustain that and how difficult that's going to be, especially when we look at our adversary with China and the Indo-PACOM area. A lot of challenges there, a lot of opportunities for innovation. Now, I want to talk, as I looked at the agenda, I'll tell you, this event aligns extremely well. I'll give you a few examples of some technologies I just picked. But water generation, it totally aligns to both readiness and contested logistics. Trying to create water from moisture from the air so that you have it as far forward as possible, either for human consumption or to build materials, is going to be extremely critical. Also, as I looked, a lot of unmanned systems. Unmanned systems is such an incredible capability. In fact, there's 4 enabling areas in the NIF that is talked about, and unmanned is one of them that are really going to enable all the other objectives, along with AI, Navy operational architecture. So really key when we look at unmanned and what this venue is getting at. And it supports many of those capability, many of those objective areas, from readiness, capability to capacity. And then also a lot of great technology on sensors and networking, super, super important as we look at how we talk to each other. Again, not only how we shoot, but how we maneuver and how we're going to be able to work in contested logistics. So if you get an opportunity to look at that, please, I encourage you to download the CNO's navigation plan and look at those 18 objectives. I can tell you, between the NDS and the navigation plan, it's our North Star. And for DOD, it's the NDS. For each service and for the Navy, it is the navigation plan, which is aligned to the NDS. So I highly recommend that you get a chance to look at that. I'm going to now transition to technology transfer and the importance of it. Venues like this are just so important. It creates the opportunity for inclusion and diversity, especially when we're trying to solve problems. Super, super important when you bring in the best and brightest, whether they're from the warfare centers or labs, whether they're from industry, both small business, large business, non-traditional partners, academia, the various universities, and of course the federally funded research centers, and many, many more to pull in to solve these challenging problems. The other thing too, the importance of technology transition, is utilizing these authorities. It really helps accelerate the development, and also you can share resources utilizing these tools. And I'll give some examples in the next couple minutes. But it's sharing resources in terms of not only funding, but intellect, facilities, equipment, and bringing in the end user to get immediate feedback so that we can improve and deliver a product that meets the warfighter's needs. The other thing is, when you do this right, the benefits are a win-win, both for DOD as well as academia and industry. And I'll show an example where we've done that, where not only does it help solve some major problems, but it also helps the economy. So tech transfer is just super important, and one of the key ingredients we'll need as we go forward for solving some of these extremely challenging problems. I'm going to move on to the next slide. Don't know if you have it. If you did, what you would see in front of you is what we call the FAN. It shows both federal acquisition requirements as well as non-federal acquisition requirements. And you would see on the left-hand side that that's where all the FAR requirements, a lot of you are familiar with, from IDIQs to broad agency announcements to letter contracts in between. And then the non-FAR, some of those tools I'm talking about in tech transfer, which include cooperative research and development agreements. Anyways, I think you're getting an opportunity to learn a lot more about those tools. But I'll tell you, from a Get Real, Get Better, at least from my Warfare Center's perspective, we're doing really well in some areas, but there's other areas we need to get a little better at. And I'll use the analogy like a skilled carpenter, right? Knowing what tool to use for a specific application. I think we can get better at when to use what tool to solve these problems. And I'm going to give you some examples where we've done it well, both from experience as well as, if you had the slide, I'll talk about some specific ones. But the first one we just recently used was a letter contract about 6 weeks ago. We had an emergent requirement where we had to get expertise, both industry and Warfare Center expertise, out to a site quickly to assess if we could keep a site operational. We were able to award that within the span of a couple days, get the team out there, and over the next 2 weeks do an assessment and keep that range up and operational so that it could proceed. That's one example from the far left, the far side of the fan. The other one I've seen a lot of work is procurement for experimentation. Over the last couple of years, between middle-tiered acquisition and other transaction, I've seen ideas incubating, ideation, incubation, prototyping, and being out in the hands of the warfighter in months to less than 2 years. Pretty inspirational. And we got to continue to do things like that, move technology quickly. We'll move on now to the next slide. Don't know if you can see it, but technology transfer examples. There's two I put up there. One, I'm going to talk a little bit about wave energy technology, and the other is going to be the X10 spindle tool lock. But the first one I want to talk about is where we actually are reaching out into industry and trying to pull technology in. And it's all about marine hydrokinetic energy. And we want to look at how to use that renewable source to not only power the grid, but also look at tactical applications. We established this wave energy test site off of Marine Corps Base, Hawaii, for almost 2 decades now. But the purpose of it is to advance the U.S. state of technology and marine hydrokinetic energy. We're still a few years away before you see that grid connected, but we're already seeing advantage for tactical applications. What made this work? It's a combination of both FAR, IDIQs for how to set up that site, to leveraging the Navy's university affiliated research contracts, great partnerships with the University of Hawaii, University of Washington. UH in particular has been a great collaborator on being that independent broker, not only helping us run that site, but working with the various vendors that come in. Partnership with the Department of Energy, who sets out the grants for the U.S. Companies to actually put in proposals and be able to test and evaluate their equipment there at the wet site. And then the utilization of cooperative research and development agreements so that we can temporarily test those devices and utilize UH again as that honest broker to look at how things are working out. So it involves a lot of folks from DON, DOE, academia, and industry, and it's been very successful. We're now seeing success moving into powering unmanned systems in the tactical arena. The second area I want to talk about, or the second example, is the X10 spindle lock tool. This is an example of something that was developed in the Warfare Center, and we exported it out. What happened is, with the X10 lock, we were seeing early premature critical failures. And what our technicians discovered is, within 1 to 2 millimeters, it would appear you've actually installed the cipher lock correctly, but it wouldn't. So after maybe a handful of times you'd use it, it would lock out, it would come off the spindle. So they created this little tool as you're installing to ensure that it seats, and preventing a lot of lockouts, which become very timely and expensive. And so this tool, what happened is we had the patent, we put it out through FedBizOps and asked if anybody was interested in doing it. We had a couple folks respond, and they asked for a limited use CRADA, tested it, and one of the companies came back and said they would like to commercialize it, and they did, and it's been highly successful. We estimate the total cost avoidance just in the first 4 years is approximately $2.4 million. And over the next 30 years, the extrapolated savings at a 0.02% failure rate avoidance is almost $18 million. So this shows when, again, you're utilizing these tools, bringing in the best and brightest, and creating that inclusive and diverse environment, what you can do. So it was a win-win for DoD, cost avoidance and all that time, but also it created quite a few jobs in industry. And again, win-win on both sides. So that's just an example of why these events are just so extremely important. So I'm going to wrap up. I just really want to encourage all of you to continue working together. So important. Just going to highlight some of the things we talked about. We must build an enduring advantage in a complex, rapidly changing environment. Climate change is another threat that I didn't talk about, but it's opening up the Arctic. It's creating havoc and opportunities. It's competition for resources, whether it's protein, minerals, and access to other areas. And so we're going to have to, there's going to be always changing threats, pandemics that we're going to have to deal with as well. So, together we must build an enduring advantage. So we got to continue to accelerate getting technology more quickly into the warfighter. We must continue to leverage industry and our academic partners to the greatest extent possible. It's through inclusion and diversity of thought and bringing in the best and brightest together that we're going to be able to solve these problems together. And then culture. We must focus on continuous improvement, not be satisfied with the status quo. Implement the get real, get better. There's going to be some senior level training coming out in the next few weeks, and it's going to lay out a very deliberate process on how we do that using data and other tools to get at it. I just want to close with this. ANTX Coastal Trident and NAVFAC Agility Summit is aligned and provides an opportunity for us to learn and exchange ideas. We must work together. We must close these immense gaps and challenges that we have, all in support of national security. And I'll end with this. Two of my favorite quotes, one from the VCNO and one from the Commandant. Build a little, test a little, learn a lot, and do it again. And then stretch ourselves intellectually, always. So with that, I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to let me speak, be the keynote speaker. I really hope you take advantage over the next 2 days to make contacts with each other. Incredible opportunities right now. We need you, and I just can't wait. I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you. I don't know if I can open this up to questions, but if so, let me know. I'll pause.
And I don't think Mr. Macias can hear us. Is that true?
I can hear you.
Mr. Macias, can you? If I had a speaker, can you hear us?
Yes.
Mr. Macias, Technical Director of the Naval Facilities Engineering and Expeditionary Warfare Center. Alan, I got it right, and I didn't even have to look at my notes. Thank you. And Mr. Macias, if you were here, I would hug you. And here's why. I heard him talk about water being of importance. As a former Marine, I know how important water is. As we move forward in the battle space, we always had to bring water with us. Now we see, I've just returned also from the European area for work and holiday. But there is a water shortage in Europe. There is a water shortage right here, Lake Mead, right? We are having problems with water. Generating water, having water, drinkable water, potable water is important. Mr. Macias talked about it. I believe the next war, my personal opinion, not professional opinion while here on stage, is going to be over water. Take a look at that. And I appreciated everything you said, because I've heard a lot of senior leaders speak, a lot of senior leaders through my career, and then just most recently. But Mr. Macias, you hit some key points that I don't know, like you're reading the early bird every morning and just absorbing it. You talked about the expedition, the EABO in the Pacific. How are we going to do combat logistics forward? If you didn't know, I believe EXWC is also responsible for creating expeditionary runways for us in the future, whether those runways be for manned personnel or unmanned craft. So, I mean, just Mr. Macias, very well. And I know you were excited to be here. You were a great speaker. People were disappointed. People that know you were disappointed you weren't here because you're a dynamic speaker. I hope you convalesce well. And I'm going to do this. We're going to do this live. He doesn't know I'm going to do this. I'll take one question does anyone have one question for Mr. Macias? Not one. The technical director of EXWC. Really? You got to be kidding me. Where's the CEO for the port director? Hey, Kristin, where are you? I need to get this. We need a hype person. Get me hyped up. I'm going to have to hype everything in this place because we can't be like this. Well, Mr. Macias, I'll turn over to you if you want to say any final words, and then we'll go back to the program.
Just thanks again, and if I mend well, I would like to pop in tomorrow. I won't be contagious, but just want to thank everybody's hard work again. Look forward to working with you. I know a lot of people traveled. We got friends from Hawaii here, friends from all over the continental U.S. and other places. Please network. Let's expand our ecosystem. Again, inclusive and diversity is key for us to continue moving forward. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Macias. All right, there he is. Watch that guy. He's going to be our next political appointee somewhere in the Department of Navy if he keeps talking like that and is well read like that. All right, so ciao. Remember, government people you don't eat for free. You got to pay. There's QR codes. You can see Kelly at the table. I believe there's a black box that you can put money in. What? Chow's at noon. Well, I was told to make this announcement about paying for chow. I don't know. See how I get yelled at? It's crazy. It's just crazy. All right. So I think we're at all right, couple things here. I've shaken. I did the handshake thing a couple of times. I'm going to get away from